Good afternoon and welcome for those that are just starting to arrive. While we're all kind of waiting just for some people, I'm just going to quickly share my screen. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw up a bit of a poll while we're all waiting. Just want to get more of a kind of a collective idea of the how everyone's kind of currently estimating today, whether or not you're kind of using our own software. But if you're kind of estimating, working out using maybe kind of a calculator, pen and paper, the old tried and tested method, maybe kind of using your own kind of spreadsheet, using other software, that could include ours. I noticed there's a couple of names on there that have maybe just recently kind of got on board. If you're maybe kind of outsourcing to a QS stroke kind of estimating service or any other kind of thing you're kind of using, if you want to kind of just fire your responses to that, and I'll get a kind of an idea of where you guys are at the moment. Okay, so let's see, let's share your responses. So I'm going to close that poll, and if I share it with you guys on the screen, just to kind of give you an idea of where everyone at. So yeah, the more the 75% of you are currently working out the you're estimating using a calculator, possibly pen and paper, so the old-fashioned way. 25% of you currently kind of outsourcing to a QS estimating service, which obviously has its benefits, but also maybe some of the kind of pitfalls and stuff of outsourcing it to another department, really. So I guess with our software, we can try and show you how we can certainly become more efficient when it comes to estimating, a lot quicker, and hopefully in the long term that will kind of save you money long term. And that kind of comes to my little kind of second poll. So we'll do this poll and then we'll get underway. If I launch this is actually multiple choice. You can select as many options on here as you like, really. But I guess, what is your main challenge when estimating? What is it you're looking to do? You're looking to save time, save money in the long term, improve presentation and productivity, increase your win percentages, or obviously kind of manage your costs better. So if all of those relate to you, you can click them all. If there's only one or two, then just go for the two, and I'll share again the results of our poll with you guys. Should have a little kind of countdown, the clock. Hopefully that might kind of help. But yeah, all the votes are coming in, all being collated and counted. There we go, excellent stuff. So it's going to close that poll, and again I'll share those with you. So yeah, I mean, 86% obviously want to kind of save time. I mean, it's a massive issue when it comes to estimating, the amount of time it kind of sometimes takes to kind of put a job or a price together. Hopefully we can show you how we're going to reduce that, save money. That will obviously kind of come into being as well, with saving time and saving money. But again, if you're outsourcing to QSs and stuff, they can cost quite a bit of money to source out. 57% improving presentation and productivity. Yeah, making sure that you're kind of giving a nice kind of detailed kind of quote to the client. They've got a fair idea and a good idea of how much the job's going to cost. 43% increase in win percentages. Excellent. So our software has been proven to actually win 230% more work using our software than doing it the old-fashioned ways. And again, 71% want to manage costs better across the business. So yeah, that's obviously the main challenges I think we find anyone looking into our software. They'll be certainly kind of coming across. So hopefully we'll be able to show how we do that. So let's see, let's crack on and get underway. As I said, many thanks for giving up your time this afternoon. If for some reason you want to attend the session again, we have got one kicking off this evening at 7 o'clock, if anybody's kind of interested. So if you feel you don't get enough out of today, my colleague Matthew's going to be doing one this evening at 7 o'clock. But what we hopefully want to kind of showcase is our kind of take-off and estimate kits method when it kind of comes to estimating. This is looking at two bits of software. The Plans Express, which I've got open now, which is our own kind of CAD system. We're going to be uploading this PDF, which I'm going to populate on screen. It's actually going to be just this kind of extension off the back we're going to be doing. This little kind of nice kind of lean-to. Keep it nice and simple today. And this will be our kind of plan view. Now, the reason I'm using this plan is because on our website, that plan actually exists as part of our Take-off and Estimate Kit software skills training we have on our how-to video section on the support site. So I would certainly encourage anybody who's looking to use this method is to kind of get your teeth into this kind of software skills training course. It's broken down over 4 modules. The first module, it's all hosted on YouTube, so you can kind of watch this as and when you need to. But it does actually have that PDF attached down here. You can actually download this PDF and use it to practice on. And what it's also got as well, if I click on that button, it's got your little kind of shortcut keys and what they kind of mean and how to actually use them. So I'm going to be kind of using a combination of these keys. I'll try and explain about them when I do use them. But these keys here are very, very helpful when it comes to using the software as you go. It can be slightly kind of not very intuitive sometimes with the kind of mouse gestures. It does take a little kind of getting used to, but once you get used to them, they will become kind of second nature, like anything really as you learn. But this whole kind of course, and I couldn't encourage anybody enough to kind of run through this course. So over 4 modules, it covers importing that plan, tracing over it, feeding it into Estimator Express, which is then kind of into module, I believe, 2 and 3 and 4. So if you do end up on module 4, that's really kind of looking at the data you're kind of getting off the back of the estimate, build programs, reports, customer quotes. So that will kind of take you through import down through the actual estimating as we're doing today. Anybody who wants to get their teeth into that course, I've got an email that's got all the links. It's got the PDF attached. We can certainly kind of get that emailed over to you after the session. And this is actually recorded as well today, so we'll be sending you out the recording as well after today, and that's again hosted on YouTube. So do watch it whenever you like. So the majority of the builders that we're kind of demonstrating, speaking to, the majority of the time they're getting the actual plans in PDF. So what you can essentially do with Plans Express is you can actually upload the PDF plan in here. Now, we know on the plan, we've got an A3 1 to 50 plan. So what you can do with Plans Express is you can actually open up an A3 1 to 50 plain page. That's basically this here. This is actually an A3 size. It's a 1 to 50 scale. I can tell that from the bottom of the software. It does kind of give me those values just down here. So I know I've got the right plan open for the one that I'm going to pull in. So you can actually go into import drawing on the scan and trace tab. You've got this button here, import drawing. And what this does, it just asks whether or not you want to pull in a PDF. As I said, it's the majority of the images that the builders that we're speaking to get. You can also bring in an image. So if it's like a bitmap, JPEG, any of those kind of the image file extensions, you can pull in an image file. You could take a picture of an image on your phone and upload it if you wanted to. You can do that. Or if you're getting the original CAD drawing, so if someone's done the drawings in AutoCAD or TurboCAD or Revit or any of those kind of programs, you can actually import your own kind of CAD files directly into the software. But we're going to be dealing with a PDF. So it's a PDF that is a kind of default selection there. All I do is click next. The software is now going to ask, where does that PDF live? It's actually that PDF there, just on my desktop. So I'll click open. And then we do get the little kind of image in here, just to kind of pull in. So you get a little kind of preview. Now, our PDF is actually page 2, so I'm going to click next. Now, if your kind of PDFs are kind of pages and pages long, as a lot of architects, especially if you've got different elevations, you've got different ground floor, second floors, etc., you can go and isolate the plan that you're after. So this is actually on page number 2. You can also increase the overall import quality. A lot of PDFs do get quite blurry sometimes when they get copied over. Yeah, you can certainly increase the overall kind of quality of that. When we click finish, it's just simple now, just moving the mouse down to this bottom left hand corner. What the mouse will do is actually snap to that bottom left hand corner. All right, it'll snap to that little point. It'll find the origin point. What I'm now doing, I'm actually left mouse clicking, but I'm taking my finger off the mouse and I'm just moving the mouse up to that top right hand corner. So that's all I'm doing there. I'm just pretty much kind of pasting it into there, but I'm taking my hand off the button. I'm just moving the mouse. Then I'm left mouse clicking once we get to this kind of top right hand section, and that's pretty much the PDF in here. All right. Now that's actually using a template. I'm sure probably some of you are thinking, well, we don't always know the scale size of the plan. So what we've done is we've actually built in this kind of measure image scale button. Now, once we kind of import the plan, what we can actually do, again, go find the one that I'm after, click open. So just repeating what I've just done just now, go find the right one, plan page number 2, click finish. Now, rather than kind of pulling it all the way up there, say I don't really know what the scale is. So all I have to do is just paste it anywhere on here, all right? And then what I can do, using this tool here where it says measure image scale, we actually know the length of that wall. We know it's 4.8 meters in length, or even this door. This door is actually 300 mil wide, or even if I was just measuring the cavities, say at 300 mil, we'll make a rough idea. It's probably going to be about 300 mil wide. If I click on that measure image scale button, and then click on the PDF edge, just there, that line, that's the line of the PDF, just there. And then what I can do, I can actually measure from that wall to that wall, and then punch in 4,800 and click OK. And what the software does, it actually rescales that for me. All right. So if you don't know the scale, you don't have this information on the plan, someone's just giving you a plan and it doesn't really have too much information on there. As long as you know a known length or width or height on the drawing, you can actually use that measure image scale button, and what it will do, you measure that area and it will then kind of resize and rescale the plan for you to the right size. So again, little kind of feature in there, quite useful. I see a lot of plans coming from our users, from our inquiries, and yeah, a lot of them do not have that much information on there. So we've got a plan in. What I'm actually doing there, I'm just kind of rolling up for those that have got a 3-button mouse, you'll have a little roller wheel on top. If I'm just kind of rolling that, wherever I point my crosshairs on the mouse, if it was over here, it'll roll to that section. If I was pointing over here, it'll roll to that section. And what that's just going to allow you to do is just kind of get right into the drawing. It's a nice little kind of navigation tool in there. And what I'm doing there to actually manipulate and move the drawing round, I'm just pushing down on the roller wheel, and that will allow me to kind of move the drawing around as well. For those that are maybe kind of working PDFs, that again is a kind of a grab feature in a PDF drawing or image. You can kind of use that, or again, just kind of rolling and grabbing. That again, that will become kind of second nature the more that you kind of use the software. Now, what I'm going to be doing here, I'm actually going to be tracing over this kind of section, this kind of proposed extension. All right, we're actually going to replicate what's already here, because this being a PDF, there's just no information on here. It's just an image, but it does have some detail. So in order to actually draw this, what I'm first going to do is actually mark out where the edge of this existing wall we're actually going to be building off just here. And I actually use what we call a construction line. Now, they can be accessed if you push down on the middle scroll wheel button. you'll get this little kind of sub menu popping up, and you can access your construction lines there. Now, for those that, for I guess preference, under settings, you can actually switch that mouse button around. I actually use the right click rather than the middle scroll wheel function on there. I just prefer the right click. That's just how I like using the mouse. So I've actually changed mine. So I actually have a right click function there instead of the middle scroll wheel function. All right. So if I choose a construction line, I can choose a vertical one, and that is now a little kind of floaty line that's floating around on my screen. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to line it up with that back wall, the edge of that back wall. All right. Again, the construction lines are just used as kind of a reference point, and they will come in very, very handy. And it's all explained in the video, just how important they are. Now, this first wall, I'm going to set another construction line, 2.4 or 2,400 mil from that construction line up to one there. So if I go and select another construction line, another horizontal one, what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to lay it on top of that one. It will kind of snap to that construction line. All right. And when it's on top of that one, if I press the R key on the keyboards, and then what I can do, using the up arrow key on the keyboards, I can actually punch in a distance. Because I've used the up arrow key, the actual direction of that construction line is going to move from south to north. All right. So I'm going to put in 2,400, click enter on the keyboards, and that has now placed a construction line 2.4 meters from that one to that one. And as I said, this is all kind of explained in our little kind of hotkeys. That's the R key there. It actually stands for the relative input point. All right. And that's the your kind of keyboard keys, up, down, left, right. And that will kind of allow you to kind of put in a direction and also distance. So that's what I've employed using those kind of little keys there. All right. Again, I'm going to use another construction line. This time it's going to be a vertical one. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark out the edge of that wall there. But what I want to do, I want to set another one, 4,800 mil from there. So again, just going to repeat what I did before. I'm going to lay that construction line on top of there. It will snap to that. I press the R key, but this time we're actually pressing the right arrow key on the keyboard. And this time I'm actually punching in 4,800 and clicking enter. And what that's done, that's actually now set a construction line 4.8 meters from there to there. So when I'm now place my walls, they're actually going to be placed around the right dimensions based on this extension. And I'm actually ready to place my walls now on the extension here. Just while we do that, I'm actually going to spring the 3D preview. All right. Now, the 3D preview sits on the right hand side. You can have little different kind of color backgrounds if you want to. If you want to work with the white backgrounds, go for it. I like working with a black background or a grey background. It's again just down to preference really, or a dark grey one. The reason I want to kind of leave it open, I want you guys to see it will kind of create a 3D image of the walls once we place them. All right. As I said, guys, if you've got any questions, feel free to fire away on the GoToMeeting thing. We'll have a wee session at the end. So let's place some walls. So how I do that, I go now to the architectural toolbar. And what we do is we actually place an external wall. So I go to the external wall library. This will kind of consist of my brick and block walls, my external cavity block walls, my stone cavity block walls. If we've got a claddie outside, you can put on a horizontal timbers, vertical timbers. You can convert the inner leaf panels, the inner leaf itself to a timber frame panel. We can put in multi-leaf brick walls, etc. in here as well. What we're going to do, keep it nice and simple. Our extension is going to be a brick and block, so I'm going to go to the brick and block section. We can then define the height of the wall we want to place. So there's a couple in here to choose from. You got a 2.4, 2.475, or 2.550. I can change it anyway once I select it, but these again are just here so you can quickly kind of choose the right height of the wall or something that was quite close to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a ground floor cavity wall, 2.4 meters high, single story extension. So I'm going to select that template there. It just takes a couple of seconds to load. For those that are familiar with Estimator Express, you'll find these little kind of windows, these little boxes in Estimator Express. So this is now going to be the values that I'm going to be estimating the plan with. So when we pass it into Estimator Express, it's going to pick up these dimensions and then estimate it based on these values. So we've got 2.4 meters high. As I said, you can change that. If you want it to be 2.5, you want it to be 2.425 or 2.4, you can put whatever height of the wall you want to place in there. All right. Leaf thicknesses are going to be 100 mil. The width of the trench is going to be 600 mil. The depth of the trench is going to be 900 mil. So again, all these values will be passed over into Estimator Express to be estimated on. The footing details, we can do whatever cavity widths that you want to put in there. If you want to increase them to 140 mil, you can do. If you want to leave them at 100 mil, go for it. But any of these other values we can change. And also when it does the estimating, it will also estimate the internal block wall. It will plaster it. It will also decorate it. It will also run a skirting board around the internal leaf, as well as prime and decorate that skirting board as well. All right, so that's everything that's going to be estimated when it goes into Estimator Express. When we click Finish, what I now do, I zoom in using the middle scroll wheel button, stick in my crosshairs. I can manipulate that around if I want to, if I want to really get into the corner of that drawing. What you'll see there, what it's doing is actually snapping to the intersection point where these two construction lines meet. And that's why I laid the construction lines down, because what it will do is snap to there. So all I have to do is left mouse click. I can just stretch it to that point there. I can then stretch it across here, and then I can just pull it down to that wall there. And that's the, as you can see in there, that's our 3D now generated with the three walls that we've just placed on the plan there. Quite easy, quite straightforward, once you kind of get the hang of it. And as I said, all of this is done in the modules. I think Olivia actually goes as far as actually kind of creating the existing building as well. So what she probably does on the video, you can actually then kind of create the existing part of the build. We're not going to do that today, but what I am going to do, I'm going to put in this back wall, because we've actually got an opening that we're actually going to form into this existing wall we're building off. So to put the existing wall in, you've got two options. You can either just click on that button there and it will choose the wall, or if I right click, I can actually choose the last thing I did, my previous command. So if I choose that, it will actually copy whatever walls you've actually just placed there. And what I'm going to do here now, I'm actually going to place the wall from there, and I'm actually going to just attach it to that wall there. Okay, so that's the existing wall that we've just popped on there. Obviously the bricks facing on that side is an existing wall we're actually building off. Now we don't want to price up this section because it's already there. It's all part of this kind of long wall here. But so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to select it. Now I know it's selected, and the 3D does actually help me to say that it is selected. It goes that kind of purple color in the background, so we know that we've selected it. Now if I right click on my menu, I now get these additional kind of options in here. I can actually set the wall to be non-estimated. All right, so if I click on that, it will second guess me just to make sure I'm doing that correctly. So if I click yes, so that wall there now, this back wall, is now being non-estimated. So if I fed this into Estimator Express now, it will ignore that wall. It's not going to price it up. It will only price up these three walls here. Because what I want to do, I want to form an opening into the existing wall, which will be estimated. So to form the opening, we don't really know the size of the opening. All right. Now you can use, sometimes I kind of show this, use a construction line if you like. You can kind of set a construction line from there to there. And then what you can also do in this right click menu is under the annotation, you can actually click on the linear dimension tool. And what I can then do is just click on that construction line, move it to that construction line, and that will tell me that that gap is about 3.6 or 3.605 meters wide. Now, give or take a few mil, it's probably about 3.6. So I'm going to put the opening in there at 3.6 meters wide. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the structural opening. I'm going to do a large opening size, and that's already got one in there at 3.6 meters. But if it was the case, it was 4.2 or 4.1 or 2.5 or whatever are the opening sizes, just change the value in that section, and then that would draw the opening at the correct size. And we're also going to take away 2.1 meters high. When it goes into Estimator Express, it will also allow for the lintel, the steel that's going to go above it. So it's going to take away all the kind of brick and block work from that section. And it's going to plaster around the opening as well for me. So that's the opening there now. So again, I'm just going to kind of line it up, just pop it in there. And then you'll see on there in the 3D, it kind of shows the opening. With the 3D as well, you can kind of spin this around. So if you want to get a kind of a different view on it, you can do. You can manipulate that just with the mouse. Keep your finger down on the left mouse click. All right. What I'm also going to do as well is just going to highlight these two construction lines. You can actually do that by using a method called lassoing. So what I'm doing, I'm actually lassoing just there to select both of them, and then press delete on the keyboard and they'll disappear. All right. If you want to lasso the whole drawing, you can do, but it's just something we call lassoing. All right. What we've got in here now is we're going to put a floor down here. There's no floor at the moment, so I'm actually going to drop in a slab around this section, but I also want to kind of put the slab into the opening section as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use, when I go to the flooring section, I'm actually going to go to the floor slab. It doesn't necessarily have to be a slab. You could be putting down a raft, you could be putting down a beam and block, or you could be putting down a timber floor. But we're going to be doing a slab. I'm going to do in a regular shape because I want to get this kind of little shape in here. So what that allows me to do is when we kind of select the slab, we can then estimate the slab up, all the values in there. We can put the depth, top and bottom reinforcement if there's any. And then what I can then do is just go to the corner. All right, just make sure I'm kind of in that corner, and that's where the middle scroll wheel button kind of comes in handy. You can really get into those sections, scroll out, scroll into that one, scroll into that one. And all I'm doing is actually just following the contours of the area I want to slab. So I'm taking in this little opening section, and then what we then do is actually finish off in that little circle where we started. And then that's us put the slab down. You can see there it's got that kind of green section with the little opening kind of covered as well. Now it's asking me, do I want to place perimeter insulation? I'm not going to do it now, but if I clicked yes, I would do exactly the same thing I've just done by going around the edge, and that will then kind of put perimeter insulation around the edge for me. All right. Oh, yeah, one question. Your snap point, if it has been turned off, there's two ways of doing it. Where is it? Where is it? If I'm just placing, probably the best thing to do is press the F7 key on your keyboard if you are following me what I'm doing. So your snap, you press the F7 key, that should bring your snap function back on there. All right. So I'll just answer that question. Hope that, let me know if that works. So yeah, now we've got the slab down. We've done that, and then we can start putting in some of the details here. Obviously, we've got a window this side, we've got a bifold that side. So let's put the bifold door in first. We know it's 300mm across. So again, going to now the door section. Drop that down, go to the doors. You've got a choice of either going through Crystal Direct. So if anybody doesn't know, our software does actually link in with a windows and doors company called Crystal Direct. They are quite handy. They do actually offer a price within the software. So if I do Crystal Direct there, and what I can do is go to location, go to a previous location. Let me just pop that in. So Crystal Direct, they're a windows and doors manufacturer, windows, doors, roofing systems. If you were punching in your postcodes, you could actually see who they're supplying in that area. So just to kind of give you an idea, they nationally supply B&Q for the windows and doors as well as TradePoint. But within that area, they're kind of supplying Blanchford's, Build Base, XL Plumbing Supplies, Lawson's, who else is in there? Jubilee Building Supplies, Buttles, Grant and Stone. So they do, Lawson's again, they do supply a lot of windows and doors to the industry. So what you can do is, if you want to put the Crystal window in there, you can go to the door section. Under the bifold doors, you can either choose a Crystal aluminium or plastic. If you don't want to use them, that's fine. Just use some of the default ones that we've got, and you can then just put in, when it goes into Estimator Express, your own supplier cost. But I'm going to do a Crystal one just to show you. I'm going to go to an aluminium door, and then what that does, this brings up this little view. I can choose the size. So let's say it's 2990. We can choose the U value, 1.1 or 1.5. We can choose the color, and we can also choose how it's going to hinge. So that price there is how much you'll actually get the door by going through Crystal Direct, by going through the software, rather than going through those kind of supply. So I'm just having a cup of tea a minute. Mute you so you don't hear me slopping. So we've got £2,500 there. We can also pick the lintel, pick the cavity closer. Then all I then do is just line up that door there. So we'll pop it in there, and that's the door now gone into the extension. All right. And then what we can also do is put a window in there. 600. I think, does she have the? Can't remember. She's got it. It's got the aluminium bifolds. Yeah, she hasn't really got the height of the window, but you could. Yeah, it's just a plastic window. Let's go to the window section. Again, I can go to Crystal. I can pick the width, and then we can also pick the height. Or rather than picking the height straight away, we can pick the style first. So if they are going to be center bars, that will then kind of give me an idea of height. Or if it's not the bar windows you're after a different style, style 11, that'll give you a 1038 in the height, 1.1 with a white one. So that's £150 for that window. And then just accept defaults, and then just pop that one in there. Oh, and then we should have that window on that side just there. All right, cool. Now we've got this wall here. Now there's nothing on that wall, but that's not to say that you can't place anything there, especially if the client maybe kind of turns around and has a kind of a different idea, or they might want another bifold in there, or they might want a side door or another window. So what you can do is you can actually add to the drawing on stuff that's not actually there. So let's say we want to go to a patio. We'll keep with Crystal. I'm going to pop a patio in there. We'll do it at 1.6 across. Again, we'll do it as a white one, 595. Select lintel, cavity closer. Now, what we can then do is we want to put a patio door in it, and we want to get to we want to find the exact midpoint. If I press the M key on the keyboard, that snaps it to the midpoint, and we tell the software how it's going to open. And then we've got a little patio on the side as well now. So we've actually manipulated the original PDF on an image that wasn't there. Again, if the client's after an additional opening there, then we can actually place it. And then what I'm also going to do here is just pop in a roof. Quite simply, we go to the roof section. You can place whatever type of roof, if it's cut or a truss roof, or it's even a flat roof. You can pop a flat roof on there as well if you want to. I think the original plan there was a lean-to, so we'll do a lean-to. And when you kind of choose the lean-to, you can change the pitch. You can put whatever pitch you like in there. Let's do a 20-degree pitch, but this will kind of estimate up all the timbers. So we've got our soffits, joist centers, rafter centers. This is estimating up all the timbers, all the tiling that's going in there as well. Also as well, all the guttering that's going to go into the roof. So everything's allowed for, all the roof finishes. So you can then choose the type of roof you want to put on there. If it's like a lean-to with a double hip, you can choose that one. Or if you're actually doing a one with a hip end, we've got a corner that's coming off. Or if you've just got a lean-to that's going to go across. Or if you're doing quite a bigger project where you've got an apex roof. And this will also allow you to kind of put roofs that are going kind of teed into other kind of roof sections as well, which you can follow. But we're going to be doing the lean-to roof on here. So I'll click OK. So to place the roof, all we have to do is indicate a wall line that the roof's going to be on. So I'm picking this front wall here. And then what I'm then do is actually give the first corner where the roof's going to be. So I'm going to give that corner there. Now you'll notice that line that's floating around. I just need to kind of give the length of the gable, which is going to be this side. And then we're actually going to give the length of the eaves to that corner. All right. And then that drops the roof on automatically for you. If you do want to kind of put in a vaulted ceiling or anything else in there, just click yes. And again, it kind of takes you through the how to then kind of put in vaulted ceiling into that section. All right. I think you can put one in just after one anyway. The vaulted ceiling with a cut roof. So all we then have to do is estimate that up. That's what I'm going to do as part of the, I'm going to take that roof back off. Let me just do that again, just to kind of show everybody how we put the roof on. So again, change the pitch, price it up, choose the roof that you're after, select that front wall, select the first corner. The first length you give is the eaves, the gable, and then the second length is going to be the eaves there. Do you want to consider a flat ceiling, vaulted ceiling? Yes, I do. Do you want to place a flat ceiling? No, I don't. Do you want to place a vaulted ceiling? Yes, I do. So that will allow me to kind of finish on the vault. Select an eaves line. So we'll select this front eaves line there, and then give a start point, and then all we have to do is just kind of go around the inside of the actual wall, finish off there. Click no on that. I'm just going to click no on these other sections. I'm not going to bother placing those. But you can see now we've actually got the vaulted ceiling in there. Yeah, so it's now covering the tiles that we were just seeing a second ago. All right, so that's now going to be the vaulted ceiling, that section now. Excellent. So yeah, this all really kind of helps being able to kind of visually kind of see what the job's going to look like. Also gives the client an idea of what the job's going to look like. I mean, with our software, I mean, it's not necessarily you have to just trace over stuff. You can kind of create your own kind of plans from scratch as well using Plans Express. But yeah, it's as you can see there. I mean, we can probably get through that with me kind of explaining and everything. Probably around about kind of 40 minutes. What we can also do to this drawing as well is we can add any kind of electrical items. So if there are going to be kind of sockets going in, if we want to put double socket, and we can just select that, and then we can just pop the symbol on there or wherever the socket's going to go. Okay. So we've got one socket there. Want to produce any other electrical kind of items, we can do some outside the lights. So we do some 400 watt lights here. Again, I can be a little bit more accurate on this, but I was kind of finding the midpoint just there. So just kind of snap to that. Okay, so we can do the wall lights. They don't appear on the 3D, unfortunately. I think it is going to be an update that's going to be coming at some point soon, where you'll actually have the kind of external kind of wall lights just there once you kind of place them. At the moment, the only thing you can do if you want to show them in the 3D is actually use a non-estimator symbol. And what we can do is we can actually go into the 3D architectural symbols, and I can pop in there wall lights. Hopefully that will find it. Lighting for external wall lantern. Let's select that one. You can manipulate the colors and stuff on here as well. Well, if you want to kind of show the effect on the plant, I think we can place it just there. Yeah, might have to make it a little bit bigger. We can select that one again. We can place one just there. So if you do want to show it on plan, you can do. You can manipulate the size of them as well. They're not very big, are they? You can also put in some of the plumbing items as well. If you want to do a radiator, we can do a single panel radiator in there. And then we can choose a radiator. We can also put a radiator in there as well. So you can then start building up the plan using the kind of electrical symbols, plumbing symbols, or if you're actually going a little bit further out here and actually doing a little kind of patio for them, then maybe the kind of patio is going up to this line here. So I can do a little construction line. We'll put the patio to there. Again, I can be a little bit more accurate with that. But we can go to the external works, go to the paving, and then we can lay a paving down off the back of this extension here. Go to that line, pull it to that one. So use your construction lines, and then we just finish there. And that's going to put the patio in there as well for you. Okay. So if there was a patio in the original drawing they want you to do, you can do that as well. So let's get this kind of section estimated. So all you have to then do is just save as, call it whatever you like, drawing 1, 2, or put the customer's details in there, just so you know who it is. I'm just going to overwrite the one that I've already got. So let's turn our attentions now to Estimator Express. So we're going to have to pull that estimate in here. Again, for those that haven't really kind of seen Estimator Express, this is our own kind of standalone kind of estimating package. You can just do estimates in here. You don't necessarily need Plans Express, but certainly on jobs that you want to kind of trace over that have a little bit more kind of to them, or you just kind of prefer being able to kind of visually kind of represent the actual job from within here. So the way that Estimator Express works, very briefly, it bases the estimate on a price book, which breaks down into materials, labor, plant. If I just click on the material section, so within here, you've actually got out the box, you've got these kind of prices here, which are called the HBXL Price Tracker Plus prices. So these are the kind of default prices you'll find in the software. These are actually worked out based on a national average. We track online with different builders merchants. So we kind of track whether or not prices are going up or down. And then what we do is we work out what the average is accordingly within the software. but you can edit those prices if you like. I can drop in a 15% adjustment to that average if I like, and bring the prices down to whatever you want them to. All right, so you can change these prices. Same for the labour rates; they can all be manipulated. The brickies, for example, our software is kind of given a guide price of around about £25 an hour. But I guess the different builders in different areas, you again can overwrite that price. If you want to kind of increase or decrease it, you can do so just by clicking within there, or you can do it en masse. If you select all your labour prices, you feel like HBXL prices are a little bit shy compared to your own, you might want to kind of increase them by 5, 10%. And then what that then does, that kind of changes all the prices by 10%. So a nice kind of quick way of changing those. And also as well, when we do the estimating, we want to make sure that we're reflecting our own profit margin. So you can change this section here. You can put your own kind of overhead percentage and then your own kind of profit markup apply. Again, these can all be changed and customized to your own kind of business practices. What you can also do as well is you can put an inflation rate onto the job. So if the client wanted us to kind of start this job, where are we, March, getting through this year quickly, April, May, June, say July time, what we can do is we can factor in maybe 4 or 5% just to protect us against any future inflation of materials and labour. So once we start building, we've already kind of allowed for a buffer for material increases, which means that the client kind of gets that price kind of pretty much kind of fixed today, even though we're building later on in the year. So again, it kind of gives you a little bit of an edge over competitors who probably aren't really offering that because they're not allowing for it. But you can set that inflation rate to whatever you like. So let's go back to the dashboards. We'll create the job using that button there. And then what we're now doing is ignoring the Estimator Express way of method of estimating. We're actually pulling the job in from Plans Express. So I'm going to go to find my drawing number 1, which is there on my desktop. Click open. Give the job a name, Mr. Jones, bit of a generic name there. It's a lean-to extension. That's your job description. We're going to estimate the job using the master price book, so that's defaulted anyway. And we can also set out the actual date of the project. As I said, let's say that we are going to start this in July. That means when I kind of go to the profit inflation within the job, I can increase it to 5%. If I want to just keep 3% as my overall percentage, but I can increase it within the job. And maybe on this particular customer, we know we can probably increase the profit on that as well, because we've done job for them before. They like what we do, so we've got that kind of setting as agreement. And then we're going to use the what we call an extension specification to actually price up this job. All the specs actually laying out is, for example, what cost of brick you're going to use, what type of roof tile you want to use on this job. The defaults are an 80p brick for all my extension brickwork. But again, if the client turns around and says they want to use a slightly more expensive brick on this job, they've sourced the brick, they've given you an idea of what they want to use. We find Gable to combine, it's about £1.10. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to change this particular job to a £1.10 brick. Same for the roof tiling. Rather than the plain tile, which kind of defaults, we're actually going to use a slate tile for this job. The guttering is going to be plastic unless we specify that the client might want to use a steel one, or they might want to have a deep flow one instead of the standard plastic. Bars boards are going to be plastic unless they specify they want timber ones. And then also as well on this plan, it could be that this is going to be a rear extension, and we just don't have the room to get the digger in to actually dig out the trenches. that would be the default allowance for excavating the foundations. What we might have to do is change it up to a manual labour dig instead of a mechanical one. So I can actually change that part of the specification just down here. And then when we're happy, put the client's details in here as well. So if you've done the job for them before, by putting in their name, it will kind of recognise that you've done the job for them before, and it does kind of store their kind of details in there. And then you can apply that to that'll all get mapped onto the quote. And it's a case of then just clicking that button there where it says create job, and it's going to now kind of pull that in. Yeah, good. Just going through a couple of these questions. How do we do the brickwork to the gable? It does it automatically. When you kind of place the roof, it will kind of add the brick gable, and when it goes into Estimator Express, it will then kind of calculate the brick gables for you automatically anyway for that. So that's all kind of taken care of. So as you can see there, it doesn't take too long. The price that's coming in there, 17,354. So that's the 17,354, 5206.40, and then 22,561. That obviously includes your kind of profit and overhead, excluding VAT. Materials are taken up about 3.5. Labour is about 4.2. Plant 658. We obviously don't have any subcontract prices and stuff at this stage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on that button there where it says estimating calculators. I'm actually going to get rid of some of these blank ones it does kind of give me anyway, but I'm just going to get rid of those. I can do that by going into the estimate and then delete the unused, and that will just leave me with the ones that we have priced up. So obviously on that on this job here, the only thing we really kind of estimated is the shell, the floor, the roof, a couple of windows and doors, as well as some of the lighting and some internal electrics. So that's where it's kind of picking up the cost of the brick and block walls, 5,696, roof 3,956, the door 3,187, the opening is about 1.5, the patio is about 1,200 quid, the slab about 621, the paving 556, and then obviously the crystal window, external lights, electrical sockets, and also the radiator. So that's all it's done is pull those items into the estimate. Just to kind of give you an idea, if I go into the external wall section, so just kind of now looking at these walls we've placed. So it now kind of gives me the 3 walls here with their lengths. So that wall number 1, the one at 2703, if I go in and add a note, and so by right clicking there, add item label. So that is now kind of relating to that wall there. All right. So we've got the openings in there. Also, as well, these are all the other kind of values that are going into it, as well as the kind of calculator resources we've put in there as well. So we can kind of filter that by quantities. So just down here, that what the spec's actually doing to the estimate is actually working out what material you're actually using across the project, or particularly these walls here. So the bricks above the DPC. Do you remember we said we were going to use a £1.10 brick? That's telling us that we're going to need, including wastage, 958 bricks. Because what the software is doing is it's actually applying this kind of calculation, £66 a square meter for that element, because the software is actually being told is how many bricks you're actually going to use over every square meter. So if our job's only about a 15 square meter job, it's actually then going to including the 5% wastage, tell you how many bricks you're actually going to need and what cost, based on the fact that they're £1.10 each. All right. So that's where it's getting that kind of £66 a square metre from. All right. And it's the same if you went down to the actual groundwork team, or sorry, the bricky team who are actually laying those bricks. So down here, the actual labour have also got their own kind of rate, which is £42.90 a square metre, because they're coming out my price book at £71.50 an hour, and we're saying within an hour they're doing 1.66 square metres of laying brick above the DPC. So based on the job, again, it's 15.2 square metres. It's going to take roughly around about 9 hours, 10 hours to kind of complete the kind of brickwork shell. But every single thing in the software has got a rate. Even excavating that trench, we did tell the software that when we estimate it, we're not going to use any plant for the excavation. So that's actually not required. What it has done, though, is actually added additional kind of time to the groundworker and mate, who we've actually got 3 hours for the groundworker and mate to actually do 1 cubic metre of excavating a trench. So it's going to take those guys about just over 16 hours to actually dig out 5.35 cubic metre at that rate. And obviously they've got their own cost, so that's why it's working out that price. But everything that's going into the wall, so all your kind of concrete, your blocks, your bricks, your cavity insulation, your brick ties, the cement, the building sands, down to your kind of plastering, your finishes on the wall, even down to your skirting boards you're going to attach, and then obviously how you're going to attach that as well, and even down to the skip, the wear and tear on the shovels, etc., to allow for that as well. So that's just the walls. Obviously, if you're going to the extension, the slab, you can have a look at the slab, and again, by going into the slab itself, have a look at the resources. That's now kind of looking at all the resources that are going in there. Okay, but that's why it's kind of arrived at that price, is because we've set the software up to allow certain materials to be used across the job, and they've all got a rate. You can change the materials quite easily. If you can either set up you can change the spec in the library to kind of have its own kind of default prices or materials you want to use. But if you kind of click on the wall section, go to resources, you can actually use what we call the resource wizard, a little button that sits on your toolbar. And if you click on that, you can actually skip along to any of these sections, click on any of these sections, and on this right-hand side here, it will allow you to kind of change it. So we can change it back from being a £1.10 brick, and then that will now open up my drop-down list of all my materials. I can change it back to an 80p brick, and then obviously our estimated rate is actually going to go down to £48 a square metre, because the brick cost is only 80, but we're using the same amount of bricks, but we're just not spending as much money on them. So that's why it's kind of working out the price that it is. Same for the skirting boards. If you want to use a slightly kind of different skirt, then you can do. Okay. If the skirt's not in there that you want to use, you can just click on New Resource, and then you can put your brand new skirting board on there within the estimate itself. You can actually add materials as you go. So the software is quite flexible to be able to kind of change what's going to be used on the project. Also, as well, within the estimate, you can then start putting in any other kind of calculations in here. If you don't want to do them on the plan, but you want to kind of pop them in here, you can put in different kind of electrical items, different kind of plumbing items. You can also put in your kind of preliminaries. So establishing the site can be added. COVID, so that's a big thing at the moment. So we can actually cover ourselves for all our kind of COVID costs. So if we actually add a small extension COVID control, that actually kind of gives us as a default 8 distance and vests, 280 disposable face masks, washable face masks, face visors, helmets, hand sanitizer stations, hand sanitizer refills, how many bottles we're going to need, paper towels, number of new bins, any kind of additional site toilet now, and also signage, spray cans you might need to kind of spray onto parts of the site, and also any kind of additional kind of site supervision time you can kind of pop in there as well. So even kind of just pushing in that, that's actually kind of coming up at just over £3,000 for those kind of items. And if you want to do a site establishment, you can establish a small extension site. And then we can go in here and that'll give us a site cabin, site toilet. If you don't need the cabin, just zero it out, don't need it. Possibly site clearance maybe, skip permits, your overall insurance costs, site security, health and safety costs, they can all be kind of allowed for in there. So the more you then kind of start adding to the estimate, especially all the kind of peripheral kind of pieces of information, they then get kind of added and your overall kind of job cost starts increasing. The software also comes with a build program, which you can generate, and that's based on the hours that are going into the project, based on your labour rates. So the way it kind of works out how many hours that are going into the job, that will then kind of work out what the how long the job is typically going to take. All right. And then what you can then do is when you get to the quotation, you can click on the quote for the estimate once you're quite happy and it's all been completed. Give it a second or two to load. So that's now the quote there. You can upload your logo. That's done on the right hand side here. Just go browse for it, include it. That's now kind of picking up the client's details onto the quotes, gives them an overall letter. The letter can be modified and changed on the right hand side here. You can overwrite the wording, put however you want to kind of present that. It does give you a quick summary breakdown with the price down here now with the VAT gets included, and then it starts going through the build phases, and with the price on there for the total cost of the build phase, description of the build phase itself, but it does then start listing some of the key resources the client has maybe kind of requested specified on the project. So when they get handed this document, they know exactly what they're kind of paying for, and the things that they've specified are kind of included in the quote itself. Now, if it is a bit more kind of a ballpark number that the client's after, what you can do is you can take away your resources from the quote, so we can hide those at this stage. And if you don't want the kind of picture representations, we can kind of take those away as well. So all they do is just get a document with the build phases kind of listed, so you can change that to how you want it really. You don't even have to show the descriptions if you don't want to. If it's a very kind of ballpark number that they're after, it will kind of give them a breakdown there. So you can show the quote stripped out, or as much detail in there as you like, and then you can kind of change that. Down here you've got an acceptance of the estimate. They get a copy, you get a copy, it's all signed off, and then you can leave them with your T's and C's at the end of the quote as well. Just copy and paste in there, and then just save it. So that's the quotes, and then you can kind of start getting into the your kind of cost data, and that can be kind of generated using any of these kind of reports here. If you want to have a look at your sales price, including overhead and profit report, we can open that. So that's now kind of looking at a breakdown of the total profit, total overhead, and then obviously your kind of total cost, including profit and overhead. You can look at cash flow reports, cost summary reports. You can look at labor reports, material reports. Good one is the materials order schedule, because you can then generate that as a document, and that will be telling you when you need to order your materials by, based on the build phases and how long the material is likely to be taken to be delivered. This is actually quite a bigger report with all your kind of values on the right hand side, and costs and wastage allowances, etc., and a description. And these can all be kind of exported as an Excel file or a CSV file if you want to dump the data into another bit of software, maybe your own accounting software, etc. You can take these values into that one really. And it's the same for the quote as well. The quote can be saved either as a Word document or as a PDF. So yeah, so within the hour, we'll be able to kind of trace over this little kind of extension here. Once you kind of start getting quite skilled on Plans Express, you can certainly start I would certainly kind of start taking on another kind of bigger projects. This was again a plan that a builder sent over to me. So this orange section was existing part of the build. This kind of green section at the front was the new stuff we're building. So again, just applying that same kind of principle, marking it all out with my construction lines, placing the walls where I want to place them. This one I had a lean-to at the front and a double-story wraparound. We also had a porch at this side, little flat roof section at the back, and then you can kind of I guess see what the job's actually going to look like in a 3D environment. So yeah, I mean it's that they're obviously kind of extensions we're doing. Just to kind of give you an idea, this was the set of plans, which was a new builds that were kind of sent across. Did this for a builder just to kind of show what can be done. So again, just click on the PDF edge there, it will kind of show the PDF. So this was actually kind of 3 dwellings being separated by a wall there. So we've got the property here, property there, and we've also got this other property facing in a different direction, which is actually a slightly kind of different configuration. And there was the kind of obviously a couple of floors to that. So again, all we had to do was upload the PDF. As you can see there, this one's actually in a slightly kind of different vertical view. And yeah, doing the first floor, copied the first floor over to do a second floor, and then we copied that floor over to actually do the kind of roof section, and then that roof there was kind of teeing into this roof here. So again, click on the 3D preview. It'll probably take a couple of seconds, and once you kind of learn the principle of the software, it doesn't really matter the kind of scale and scope of the plan you've got. You can do them as quickly as an extension would take. And this is the kind of a new build kind of drawing here that we kind of traced over. Yeah, just it's just about practice really. I mean, as I said, Olivia does kind of take you through the principles on here of how to kind of get going really. Follow that by the end of module number 4. you'll be kind of running through these types of plans, or nice kind of simple kind of extension plans, or even the loft conversion jobs as well. And all it is just tracing over an existing plan and then feed it into Estimator Express, where it'll then price it up. So we're probably going to be coming to an end. So thank you very much for your time. Let me have a quick look, see if we've got any more questions. Can the I tell you, that's the foundations be added into the 3D design? I think. I guess with the we on about here. I mean, the foundations do kind of appear in the 3D. If that's the question, that's the. Or are you on about down here? Or sorry, not the floor. You're on about the foundations going below. You can. I'm not sure if it's in the takeoff version, but you can set out kind of sections onto the plan. I'll have to check, see if it's on there. But you can put sections onto the plan if you want to. But I can't remember if it's the part of the takeoff edition. I think that might either be part of the plus, the premium, that will actually have the sections allowed, so you can kind of show them on the plan if that's what you're talking about. I think that's what you're talking about. It won't be in the 3D, unfortunately. It will just be on the plan itself as a section. Okay. Cool. Well, if nobody's got any more questions, I'll maybe kind of leave it open for 5 minutes. But for those that might have to kind of crack on and get on with it, as I said, we do record these, so we will send you the recording today. But saying that, I mean, we've got lots of videos on our own kind of support site, lots of Estimator Express videos you can kind of get your teeth into, and also the Plans Express as well. The software skills training. There are all types of videos that you can access just on there. And for those that are maybe who don't already own the software, March, we do have a nice kind of offer on all our kind of perpetual licenses. You're looking at 21% off the RRP, and also as well all subscriptions. You can get an additional couple of months free on top of the annual subscription price, so you do get a couple of months free off the back of it. But we could obviously kind of speak to you kind of one-to-one on that. Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap up, and we'll all speak to you soon. So many thanks for your the time this afternoon. I appreciate that. I know it's valuable. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to kind of show you today how easy it is to use the software when it kind of comes to estimating your work. All right, cool. Take care. Speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.